Every single day, billions of people perform the same simple action. They drink water. And almost every time, nothing happens. But every year, thousands of perfectly healthy people suddenly begin choking, coughing, gasping for air. Not because they weren't drinking enough, because they drank the wrong way. That sounds impossible. After all, your body has been drinking water since the day you were born. So how could something so natural become dangerous? The strange answer begins with a hidden battle happening inside your throat every single time you take a sip. And chances are, you've never noticed it. Imagine you're incredibly thirsty. You've just finished exercising. Your heart is racing. You grab a cold bottle of water and begin drinking as fast as you possibly can. It feels satisfying, refreshing, necessary. Then suddenly, you cough. Water shoots into your airway. For a split second, you can't breathe. Your eyes water, your chest burns, and your body reacts before you even understand what happened. But here's the strange part. That terrifying moment wasn't an accident. It was actually your brain saving your life. So why can something as harmless as water suddenly become dangerous? Why does your own body sometimes reject the very thing it needs to survive? To answer that, we have to look somewhere most people never think about: your throat. Because hidden inside is one of the fastest and most accurate safety systems evolution has ever built. Every swallow is a gamble. Not because water is dangerous, but because air and food share almost the exact same entrance. For a brief moment, the pathway to your lungs and the pathway to your stomach cross each other. That shouldn't work. In fact, from an engineering perspective, it's a terrible design. One tiny mistake, and liquid enters your lungs instead of your stomach. So why would evolution build something this risky? That's where things become fascinating. Researchers discovered that swallowing isn't one movement. It's a perfectly timed sequence involving more than 30 muscles and several nerves firing within fractions of a second. Your tongue pushes, your throat contracts, your voice box rises, and then a tiny flap of tissue called the epiglottis swings down like a trapdoor. For less than a second, your airway completely disappears. You don't think about any of this. Your brain performs the entire sequence automatically, hundreds of times every day, without asking permission. But here's where it gets strange. The epiglottis isn't actually perfect. Scientists once believed it acted like a simple lid. Now they know it's much more complicated. Your vocal cords slam shut first. Muscles squeeze from every direction. Breathing temporarily stops. Your brain essentially freezes one life support system to protect another. Think about that. Every single sip of water briefly interrupts your ability to breathe. You've been doing this your entire life and probably never realized it. Now imagine you're laughing, talking, running, or drinking too quickly. Suddenly, that perfect timing begins to break down, even by a fraction of a second. Water slips where it doesn't belong. Your body instantly launches into one of the most violent reflexes it has: cough. Again, until the danger is gone. That cough isn't a failure, it's an emergency rescue mission. Animals face the exact same challenge. Watch a dog drink. It laps water rapidly. A horse lowers its head. A cat pauses between licks. Every species has evolved its own strategy, but humans are unusual because we're one of the few mammals capable of speaking with incredible complexity, and speech changed everything. To produce language, our voice box sits lower than it does in most other mammals. That tiny anatomical shift allows us to create thousands of different sounds, languages, songs, stories, civilizations, but it came at a price. Our airway became more vulnerable. In other words, the ability to tell stories may have made choking more likely. That's a trade-off almost nobody thinks about. Researchers studying swallowing have found something remarkable. Your brain predicts every swallow before it happens. Sensors in your mouth detect temperature, texture, volume, even the speed of incoming liquid. Before water reaches your throat, your nervous system is already preparing dozens of muscles. It's less like reacting, and more like conducting an orchestra. But prediction isn't always perfect. Ice-cold water can surprise your reflexes. Large gulps require greater coordination. Drinking while lying flat changes gravity's role. Alcohol slows protective reflexes. Fatigue reduces muscle precision. Age weakens coordination. Neurological disorders can interfere with the entire sequence. Suddenly, something effortless becomes much harder. And that's when water becomes dangerous, not because of what it is, but because of where it ends up. Long before modern medicine, a failed swallow could mean death. There were no emergency rooms, no advanced airway techniques, no suction devices. Survival depended entirely on reflexes evolution had perfected over millions of years. Generation after generation, The humans whose brains reacted fastest, the humans whose coughs were strongest, whose swallowing systems were most reliable, were simply more likely to survive. You are carrying those ancient reflexes right now. Every sip is backed by millions of years of evolutionary trial and error. Researchers have discovered that swallowing changes as we age. Children are still mastering the choreography, while older adults slowly lose precision. That's one reason aspiration pneumonia is especially dangerous for older adults. Something completely ordinary can quietly become a serious health risk. Most of the time, when water goes down the wrong pipe, it isn't a huge amount entering your lungs. Often, it's only a tiny droplet touching extremely sensitive tissue. That's enough. Your airway is so protective that even one misplaced drop can trigger explosive coughing. Your brain would rather overreact than take the smallest chance. That uncomfortable coughing fit may actually be proof your body is working exactly as it should. The real danger isn't always coughing. Sometimes it's when someone can't cough. The next time you raise a glass of water, remember that an invisible performance is happening inside your throat. Muscles fire, air briefly stops, pathways shift, and your brain makes hundreds of calculations before you even notice. We often think survival comes from escaping disasters or fighting predators, but sometimes survival is hidden inside the smallest actions imaginable. A single swallow, a single breath, an ancient reflex you've never noticed. The greatest miracles inside the human body aren't the ones that make headlines. They're the ones that happen so perfectly, you never realize your life depended on them.